Welcome to 5 Minute Brain Hacks. My name is Peter, and today we're going to be looking at an email from James Clear, and in particular a quote from that email. And the quote is, "The more you move, the easier it is to keep moving. Maintain the momentum." So does that quote stand up to some critical thinking? Yes or no? Let's have a look. So I've rephrased the quote and made it slightly different, and in my mind more accurate as to what happens in the real world. The more you move in the right direction, the easier it is to overcome obstacles. To maintain momentum, you must maintain vigilance. So let's look at the first piece. So in terms of the right direction. So the original quote, "The more you move, the easier it is to keep moving." So some people are not moving at all. So that's an issue in itself, obviously. But some people are moving, but in the wrong direction. And they're continuing to move in the wrong direction. So for the purposes of this critical thinking analysis, let's assume that the quote was meant by you're actually moving in the right direction. You're maintaining momentum in that direction. So assuming you are moving in the right direction, is it easy to keep moving in that direction? Let me ask you a question about this. Why should it be easier to keep moving once you get started? So why should it be easier to keep moving once you get started on a particular project? Does it make sense to you that that is the case? Does the action of starting something ensure that you continue to move forward naturally? I suggest the answer is no. Starting is an event that takes a certain mental attributes, for example, desire, desperation, inspiration, consequences if you don't start moving. So starting is initiated by a mental process that is unique to the event. Look for a moment at Newton's first law of motion. It says that an object will not change its motion unless a force acts upon it. Okay, so that's straightforward enough. So in this case, the force to get you moving is not a physical force; it's a mental force. So you go through your day-to-day life and you're doing your day-to-day activities, and you want to start doing something new. What is it that makes you start something new? Like it's some of those mental attributes, as I said. It could be a desire, it could be a consequence if you don't. It could be an inspiration to do something, but it's a mental attribute, it's a mental force that will get you going. So you get started and are moving in the right direction. Is it easy to keep moving in that direction? Let's take the example of starting a new business. You started moving in the right direction because let's say you're not happy with your current job, you're not currently happy in your day-to-day work, and you want to do something different. So you're inspired to start a new business, and you start it, and you start moving in the right direction. So as you hit your first obstacle, let's say your new website has some issues with it, that momentum slows a little bit. As you continue and are hit by your second obstacle, let's say you didn't get funding from some local government innovation fund, the momentum stops again. So as you continue and as more and more obstacles hit you, which they will, does your momentum increase or decrease? If you look at the classical scientific formula for momentum, it's mass by velocity. So in this case, the mass is the business and all of those activities and tasks that need to be done as part of the business, and the velocity is how you're getting through them, the rate that you're getting through them. The analogy is that the rate that you change at, if you look at the classical definition of velocity being the rate at which a position changes, how are you reacting as each obstacle comes along and hits you? Is your rate of change increasing or decreasing? So to maintain momentum, once you've started, you need to be aware of your mass and velocity. The mass being the actual activities or tasks that you're working on, and the velocity being the rate at which you are actually getting through those. You need to be aware of what you're working on and how big or small that is, and especially if that is changing. So if that mass is getting bigger, and as a result, perhaps it's getting out of control, which is clearly going to slow your momentum, slow your velocity. Your velocity, the more you have to work on, your velocity is going to slow, and your momentum will ultimately slow, and perhaps slow to zero. to a point where you're not making any momentum at all. So if we come back to the quote, James Clear's quote on this, the more you move, the easier it is to keep moving, maintain the momentum. So you need to be cautious and aware that you're actually moving in the right direction to start with. And you need to stay focused on the tasks at hand and ensure that it doesn't get too big and out of control, that you start to lose velocity. And if you start to lose velocity around the tasks that you're actually working on, your momentum will slow. Dealing with how you get around that mass getting too big is a different question, and one we won't look at here. But let's just say it's related to perhaps the 80-20 rule and delegation. You can't do everything yourself. How many times have we heard again and again that we don't delegate enough, we take too much on? Taking too much on is impacting your velocity, and your velocity ultimately is going to negatively impact your momentum. So thanks for listening to this short 5-minute brain hack. I hope you've got something out of it. If you did, please like the video. If you want to comment and tell me about your own challenges when it comes to getting started and maintaining the momentum. And if you like the channel and like to hear more videos like this, please subscribe. Thank you.